Hey everybody, I'm randomfrankp, and welcome to part 2 of bringing you guys my new PC build guide. Part 1 was showing you guys all the parts we're using, all the components, and this part 2 is going to be pretty much a build guide on how to build a PC, and the steps that we took in order to build my gaming PC, codenamed Glacier. So, my good friend Andy, he came over, helped me out, we both built it together. Unfortunately, I don't have footage of him because we lost the opener that we shot, but that's okay. He's a great guy, he helped me build this. So, I'm going to show you guys how we built my gaming PC Glacier.
Alright, so let's start to build the PC. First off, head to the back of your case and start to unscrew the thumb screws which hold the side panels in place. Remove that for now as it'll open up your case's workspace. Check for motherboard standoffs. Some cases have them pre-installed, and on my H440 they are here, here, and here. That is what your motherboard will securely sit on inside the case. Speaking of your motherboard, this is a great place to start, seeing that it will house pretty much all of your components. There are numerous ways you can go about building a PC, but these are the steps that I like to take, and it's pretty much all personal preference. Take the motherboard out of the anti-static bag and try to only touch the plastic parts on the motherboard as you place it down on something safe like the box it came in. Now you can begin to assemble your build, and I'll let Andy get you started.
One of the easiest things to do right off the bat is installing your CPU and RAM. It's very simple. For your CPU, carefully take it out of the box and hold it from the sides. The pins on the backside are extremely fragile, so please be careful. Locate your CPU socket and lift the retention arm. Align the arrow on the corner of the CPU with the arrow on the corner of the socket to ensure you're placing it in the right orientation. Carefully place it down and close the retention arm to lock it in place. Bam! That's it. Now for RAM. Depending on your motherboard's layout and how many sticks you have, this part can be slightly different as there's an A channel and a B channel. When you're only using 2 sticks of RAM, make sure you put them both in the same channel if you want to utilize dual channel memory, increasing your memory bandwidth and memory performance. In our case, we're using 4 RAM sticks, so they're going to fill up all 4 slots on the right side of the board. Pull the clips on the RAM slots back and it will allow you to easily insert the RAM. Press carefully but firmly. You don't want to break the sticks, but you want to make sure they're in. The clips should automatically lock the RAM sticks into place, but just check them in case because it doesn't always work that way.
Okay, now is where I like to attach the graphics card to the board. People may prefer to put the board in the case first and then do this step, but I like to have it already on the board in case of obstructions, like the hard drive bays interfering with the length of the card, depending on your case of course. Line up the card with the PCI connectors, and just like with the RAM, it should slide right into place. Easily lower the motherboard into your case now onto all the standoffs, but do make sure your I/O shield is already applied to your case before you mount the motherboard. Once everything is aligned, you can start to screw in the motherboard into the standoffs, which will secure it. Do the same for the screws on the graphics card into the PCI bracket slot. Now everything is safely in place and connected to your motherboard. Depending on your choice of CPU cooling, this is where the build will start to vary in terms of steps. We are using the Corsair H110i GT liquid cooler, which has a 240mm radiator that will go on top of the case with 2 140mm fans. We previously applied the radiator and fans before putting in the motherboard due to its large size, because screwing it in afterwards wouldn't be possible with the board already in place. Now it's time for actually applying the cooler to the CPU. This cooler had come pre-installed with thermal compound already on it, but it was accidentally smudged during the process. So just to be safe, we took a cotton ball and rubbing alcohol, and we used that to fully remove the paste in a safe fashion. We then applied our own thermal compound, and the application is really up to you. You can do like a grain of rice, a pea, a line, however you want. The application is up to you, it's your choice. And the compound is used to dissipate the heat from the cooler in your CPU, so once it's set on the CPU, it will all flatten out anyways. Now again, depending on your build, whether Intel or AMD, you'll have to use a dedicated mounting brackets for the cooling. We are using AMD, so we use the proper brackets to hold the cooler down in place over the CPU to get those cool temperatures. Now is Andy's favorite part, so I'll let him take it from here.
Alright, so I know most people hate this part, connecting everything to the power supply and motherboard, but really it's not that bad, so just bear with us. We used a modular power supply this time, so we did this last to make sure we only used the cables and cords that we needed. And plus, mounting it is simple afterwards. So, grab the bundle of cables that were already attached to your case and start from there. These connect the front panel buttons of the case, like the power button and USB ports and audio. They're very handy and easy to find. There's a USB 3.0 header on the bottom of the board. Plug that in to start. Then do the same with the smaller USB 2.0 plugs. Most of these plugs will be easily labeled on the motherboard, so you know where everything goes. Also, don't be afraid to consult the motherboard manual for detailed instructions and diagrams. It's very helpful. and will have all the info you need, especially if this is your first PC build. On the bottom left will be your HD audio connector from your front header. Again, just easily plug it in. Now for the front panel connectors, which again I advise looking into your motherboard manual for directions. Each board's a little bit different, so yeah, you might want to consider doing that. These operate the power LEDs, power button itself, power reset switches, blah blah blah, etc, whatever's on the front of your panel, essentially, of your case. Plug them in from the bottom up so it's easier for you. Next, find your 24-pin ATX motherboard cable and plug that in. It's the easiest to find because it's the biggest one you have. On the top left of your board will be your CPU power connector. Almost done now. Find your PCIe power connectors for your graphics card. Depending on your card, the amount of connectors needed will vary, but for this 980 Hall of Fame edition card, we need 2 8-pin connectors to power it, which is fairly common, but still, that's a lot of power. Connect the opposite ends now to the matching area on your power supply, and you're all connected. Now it's time to mount your power supply to the case. The power supply will slide into the bottom of the bay on our case. Using the frame that comes with the H440, we can secure the frame to the power supply and then mount the frame to the case with 4 screws.
Lastly, I saved the hard drive installation. Depending on how many drives you have and where you want to place them, I always just find it easiest to have this part as the last piece to the puzzle. Your case will have hard drive bays where you can easily mount the drives, locate where you want to actually install them, and secure them into place with the mounting hardware. I have a hard drive and an SSD, so I will need to connect and power them both. For power, find the long L-shaped looking cable and plug it into both of the drives. On the back you will find it's kind of like a small hook at the end. It looks like a long L on its side. You can connect them to a power supply via a Molex connector, which is most likely included with your power supply. Now for connecting your drives to the motherboard, use your SATA connector, which looks like a smaller L-shaped connector, which is right next to your power connector. You hook one side of the cable into your hard drive and the other one into the SATA port on your motherboard. Location of the SATA ports may vary per motherboard, but mine was hidden behind the graphics card. And you should now be ready to power on and use your fully built computer. So that's it guys, we officially built our gaming PC. Stay tuned for part 3, while I'll be doing much needed cable management to make the PC look a lot cleaner, and I'm also going to add a few things to bring the PC to life. I think you're really going to like it. Trust me, you won't want to miss out.
Alright guys, that is part 2 of how we built my gaming PC, and I hope it informed you, hope it helped you out on steps that it takes in order to build a PC. It's really not that difficult. And don't worry about the insides, don't worry about how it looks right now. Like I said, in part 3, I'm going to be going through, completely doing all new cable management, rerouting everything, making it look a lot cleaner and nicer. I also got some things I can add to it to make it look aesthetically nicer. I think you guys are going to like it, so don't miss out. You're going to want to see part 3. And we're also going to be doing some benchmarking in part 3, showing you guys how my PC performs, all the top games and all the stuff like that. So you're going to want to see that as well. So I hope you guys like part 2. If you did, give it a thumbs up, show your support. If you want to see part 3, also give it a thumbs up. Hit me up on Twitter at randomfrankp if you have any questions. Comment down below as well. And if you haven't already guys, definitely hit subscribe. I hope you guys like these videos. You're not going to want to miss the videos we have coming up. We've got some really cool stuff planned. So again, big thank you to my man Andy for helping me out with this. I'm randomfrankp guys. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good day.